So Kelvin, tell me where you are right now. I know you're making some fantastic music, but is that starting to translate out? You selling records? You made records? You making beats for people? Where are you?
Yeah, I've made a lot of records, mostly on the underground scene, kind of like work for hire type. Now hasn't really. I don't have any contracts. I have poor man's copyright. And I'm really like wanting to take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? I want to actually start seeing more of a return on my investment on my work.
Good, yeah. You've in 12 seconds have thrown out a bunch of really important terms. Work for hire means someone's coming and saying, Kelvin, we want you to make us a beat. We'll pay you X number of dollars for it, and then it's our beat, and it's no longer your beat, right?
Right.
And that's an important term for people to know. And the way work for hire works is once you've exchanged the cash for the beat, you're no longer the author of that beat, nor do you have any rights over it. So it's important to understand that. And then you mentioned the term poor man's copyright. And I assume you're talking about mailing yourself discs, yeah. So people do that to set a time, set a postage stamp, so that if somebody claims to have written the beat before you did, then you have evidence to show exactly when you did it. And they call it poor man's copyright because the alternative is to send in a version of the song to the Library of Congress and register it, which is what you should do, because it holds up a whole lot better in this day and age where people can use a laser printer and make a pretty realistic looking date of postage on it. But beyond that, you're saying that you want to kind of take it to the next level. So what is that next level in your mind?
My next level, I always set my goal high. My next level is a publishing deal with either a record label, with a record label. I'm one of them. I don't want a lofty advance because I don't know who they'll set me with, and I don't know how they'll sell and how they'll recoup. But I do want 5, 10 songs publishing deal. Then I want to take that publishing deal and use the money to start my own production company. I want to sign my own contracts and be off on my own with my own knowledge.
Nice. That certainly is great to hear. I mean, to say that you want to work with a label, you didn't want a big advance, and an advance is simply money that a record company or a publishing company will loan you. Really, they pay you some money, but then you don't get any royalties until you've made back that money via the sale of your work. So the sooner you recoup, the sooner you pay that back, then the leverage changes. And a lot of times in record deals, most artists never recoup, and that's why they're always kind of beholden to the label. So with your goals to kind of have your own thing, it's really important to get out there and not be unrecouped, because until you're recouped, you really don't have much leverage. But you said something interesting too. You're kind of leveraging this idea of the record company or the publishing company to establish your own thing. And then you'll go out and do what? Sign other artists, or?
Yeah, what I eventually want to do, I call it taking over the world. I want to.
Well, one thing you need to do is make sure that you swing for the fences.
Yeah, take over the world. That is hip hop, and I see myself signing my own artists. I want to sign other producers, kind of like in a big brother, little brother role. You know how you like. Yeah, you love your little brother, and you want to give him all the information you've had, so they can go off and be bigger and better than you. And I do realize that in music, period, that the people that you bring on under you are less likely to be more successful than your peak of success. Right. So it's like the higher I set myself, the better example I become, the higher standards that they have, and the more access that they have, to the resources that I've accomplished and I've attained. And my next question I wanted to ask you was, do you think that, when a producer looks for, their version of a record deal, publishing deal, it's better to go with the publishing company or with the actual record label?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because in point of fact, what you're talking about is a publishing deal. And a record deal historically has been when a label signs an artist who performs, someone that whether they write the songs or do the rap or whatever, they're the person that is on the record, and the record company promotes the work and tries to sell the record. It's changing, but that's historically what it's been. A publishing deal, on the other hand, is exclusively for the writer of the music, be it the music itself or the lyrics or whatever. And the publisher tries to go out and get those songs used, get them placed on an album, get them placed in a commercial, wherever. So for you, it seems maybe more like a publishing deal would make more sense. I mean, you do get the occasional, I mean, for somebody like Kanye West, right? I mean, he started as, you probably know more than I, but started as making beats for other people before he had his own career. So while he was making beats for Jay-Z, he wasn't signed to Def Jam. He was just a producer that probably had a publishing deal, and the publisher helped connect him with Jay-Z. But then Kanye said, well, you know what, I want to put out my own records, so he needed a record deal to do that. But so for you, I would say that the key is to have somebody that's helping you connect your beats to artists. And you want to do it across labels. You don't want to do it just for one label.
Oh yeah, I don't want to be exclusive to one label,
Right.
because when you're signing to one label, you're restricted to their artists.
Right.
So you're,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, you're leaning on them to bring you the talent you need to work with.
Right.
Now that in itself could be leverage, because you might have heard of an artist, you might bring that artist to the label,
Sure.
or you know, that would give you more leverage in doing
Yeah,
what
if
you
you're
want.
acting kind of as an A&R person. But back to the difference between a publishing deal and a record deal, it does sound to me that if you want to be making beats across the spectrum, you know, for whoever, people on indie labels, maybe someone who doesn't have a label deal yet, or somebody who's signed to Universal, you need to do that via a publishing company. One thing that's important to know is until you assign the rights to your songs, your beats to someone else, you are the publisher. You don't need a publishing deal to do that. You are de facto the publisher. So you need, and it sounds like you're already doing it. Who is using your beats now? How is that working now? You said you've got tracks on records. How did that happen?
Oh, I'll have tracks on records with barcodes on them.
Oh, okay. It's
So,
like mixtape type stuff? Or?
Yeah, mixtape for, I don't want to say for promotional use only, because, I mean, it's independent labels.
I understand.
Independent acts, you know, songs, just work.
Right.
And, you know, I don't have a first actual placement.
Okay.
You know, but I want that.
Right. Well, that's the next step. Really.
That's the next step.
So how does that happen?
How
are you going to get to that next step? Do you have a strategy to do that? Or?
Man, making relationships.
Right.
I look at business cards as being beat CDs. Name,
Great.
number,
Great.
email address.
Yeah.
Every time I go out, you know, if you're an artist, here.
Yeah. Well, they are your business card. Your beat CDs are your calling card, your business card. And so the key is to figure out, you know what you love, you know your values, what matters to you. And it sounds like when you talk about this kind of mentor relationship, you have a very strong sense of values. So it's finding those artists that have the similar values, that align. And so you've got to know the landscape. Now, you're from Cincinnati, you know that scene very well. Why do you laugh?
Because, like, you said Cincinnati, and I'm just instantly thinking about, you know, like, how untapped it is.
Okay.
Like my city is like a barrel with crabs trying to get out. Like,
That may be on a bumper sticker at some point. Cincinnati, like a barrel with crabs trying to get out. Come visit.
there's a lot of talent in Cincinnati. There's so many across the boards, but it's like people sacrifice their individuality to make what's hot. So when you come to Cincinnati, you might hear a hot record,
Right.
but it's not different. You know, like what labels are doing now that I really hate is like they're microwaving rappers. Like they make them hot for a second.
That's a great term.
They make them hot. They put them on with the hottest singer or the hottest producer or whatever, and they expect to sell 1 million records.
Sure.
But I mean, they're doing that with rapper A. They're like interchangeable parts, like puzzle pieces. And the people who stay around the longest, you know, the ones that have their own sound, and there are artists of that caliber in Cincinnati, and I feel I'm a producer of that caliber. So it's kind of like, that's why I'm so selective of who I work with, and that's why I'd rather leave Cincinnati, find myself, and come back, and then build. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, again, I think it does go back to values. You don't want to work with these, you know, as you wonderful turn of phrase, microwave rap. You know? So again, the question then is, you've left Cincinnati, you're here in New Orleans, you plan to go back to Cincinnati. How do you connect? Is it simply just, where do you hear these people? Is it going out at parties? Is it shows? How do you connect and get this business card that is your beats to them?
Just going out,
Just
like going to clubs, listening to what's playing in the clubs, talking to people.
Right.
I mean, you almost have to be your own A&R.
Oh, no question about it.
You have to be.
Not almost. You have to be.
You have to be your own A&R. And I was at a conference 2 weeks ago here in New Orleans, the Dream Mega Conference, and I talked to Riggs Morales, A&R at Shady Records, and he said, you know, I don't look at BDS spins as sign artists. My BDS spins is the people in the corner, the people on the street.
Sure.
You know, within my mind frame goes as a producer, it's like, okay, yeah, this song's hot. What makes this artist hot? What makes me gravitate to him? What makes me want to work with him? What makes me want to put my stamp on this? Because like when you're a producer, like you are putting the stamp of approval on that, because you say, hey, I think this rapper is good enough to work with. I think I can invest some time, I can invest some talent, I can invest money into you, and you're investing all this in me. We both have to see a reasonable return on our work.